So your background is actually, it's so diverse and so vast across retail, both on the product side and now more on the strategy and I guess like head office side, I would say. Can you just share with me a little bit about how you jumped from product and merchandising into more strategy?
Yeah. So after I think my last stint in industry was actually with Ralph Lauren, and I was head of buying for the Lauren brand, and I was based in the UK. So I managed
Mm-hmm.
all the wholesale buying for UK, Ireland, Scandinavia, the Baltics, sometimes France, depending on the mood of Galerie Lafayette that day. But
Yeah.
what I did was I worked on buying strategies with those department stores and those accounts. And then I
Yeah.
created the product mix based on the Ralph Lauren aesthetic and the strategy for that season for those department
Okay.
stores. And this is something that I did throughout my career. So developing the right product assortment, listening to the customer, driving brand loyalty. And I actually bring that into my the work that I do today with brands. So working with brands on, I mentioned earlier, organizational effectiveness, what that really means
Yeah.
is driving a more simplified and efficient product creation and merchandising process from sourcing and materials management all the way to market. And the way that I help
Okay.
brands do that is to achieve outcomes such as speed to market, developing a multi-track calendar, incorporating things like digital tools, insights, digital product creation, and how to start getting buy-in into not only trusting the tech, but implementing the tech.
Interesting. And how do you find that? How do you connect kind of the role of product development and merchandising? How do you connect that to brand loyalty?
Oh, that's a great question. So I would say that with most customers today, we have so much more choice. So brand loyalty is more important than ever because customers have
Mm-hmm.
more choice. And
Yeah.
with outcomes related to creating the wrong product assortment, like excess inventory and excessive markdowns,
Yeah.
loyalty becomes a key driver in connecting product to the customer. Now, how I help brands do that is by developing not only the right product at the right time in the right place, but connecting things like insights, data, um, customer feedback into that product creation and merchandising strategy. So, where are the right moments in the milestone calendar to talk about this stuff? How can we drive change and make adjustments to product that's being assorted so far away from market? Sometimes it takes 52 weeks or longer to go from concept
Mm-hmm.
to actual store. So, how do we not only shorten that timeline so that we could be creating product closer to the time of the season, but how do we
Yeah.
incorporate things like data and closing that feedback loop in that product creation and go-to-market process?
Interesting. And then how do you, from this perspective of getting the product to the customer, how do you think about now all the different channels that exist?
Mm.
Maybe I'm simplifying it by just saying stores, wholesale, and online. But how do you think about those channels as well in terms of getting it to the customer and then again getting it to the customer at the right time?
So the way that I talk to brands about channels is that when brands are talking to the customer across all of their channels, whether it is online or offline, see, I simplified it even more, right? So what they need to do is think of it from the customer point of view. And the customer doesn't see channel, they see brand. So having
Yeah.
a seamless, frictionless experience for that customer is so critical because you don't want that customer to go somewhere else, which is where
Yeah.
loyalty comes into play. So if you have that seamless experience, take Sephora, for example, or even Ulta. They have a great
Yeah.
experience across every single channel, whether it's social, whether it's in store, whether it is part of their wholesale strategy in a department store that they've partnered with. The reality is that customer is, their expectation is to have the same experience across anywhere they decide to shop or engage with that brand. And this is where I would say driving brand loyalty would be asking the customer, how do they want to shop with you? How do they want to engage with you? And then meeting that
Mm-hmm.
customer in those moments in time with the same type of experience and giving off that same, I don't want to use experience again, but it is the same experience. We have to get the customer to experience delight across all of the channels in any way they decide to engage with you.
Yeah, I like that word delight. Um, yeah,
It's a very
that's what
buyer
we're striving for.
word. Yeah, we love to delight the customer with product, but we have to delight the customer with experience too. And I think that's where we not only increase brand loyalty, but we meet the outcomes that the retailer is trying to meet or the brand is trying to meet, which is driving full price sales, which is increasing
Right.
footfall, which is getting repeat customers and purchases.
Yeah. So when you're talking to brands, I'm going to move a little bit now to this kind of omni experience. Like you said, how do we delight the customer no matter where the touch point is, whether it's within, I guess, the brand's own network or a wholesale partner? Where are you seeing, um, I guess, like, where are you seeing brands focus their energy over the next kind of few years? I feel like a lot of brands have laid the foundation now of understanding that there are different channels, they function in different ways. Maybe also putting down the groundwork of having the right tech foundation, for example, from a e-commerce perspective. So now with that in mind, where do you see brands kind of thinking about how they create an omni or how they enhance their omni experience over the next 3, 5+ years?
I think what brands are trying to do today, which is what they've been trying to do for decades, is to better manage their inventory, whether it is
Yeah.
creating the right product mix or having the right pricing strategy. Inventory management plays a significant role and a priority in any strategy that the brand is trying to, I guess, either they're looking a year ahead or 3 years ahead or 5 years ahead. The other thing
Yeah.
that brands are trying to do a better job of is streamlining sourcing and product creation. So having a more vertical supply chain, being more transparent, because this is what the customer is also asking for. Not to
Hmm.
mention, there's a lot of regulation coming into play around transparency and visibility. The third thing I would say
Interesting.
is that brands are really trying, I would say, harder today than they ever have been in leveraging the right technology to make better product and marketing decisions. Whether that means having the right solution from an e-commerce perspective, whether they are looking to streamline a better experience for the customer across channel, which we talked about earlier, they want to
Yeah.
make better decisions around having the right technology because, as you know, being a tech provider, retailers and brands have a huge tech stack and they don't want to touch it, or marketing is going off and buying the tech that they're looking for, but they're not talking to merchants. So, having
Yeah.
the right technology, but having it come from a place where we have broken down silos across functions within the brand or retailer, having them talk to each other and solving those problems together, that will
Yeah.
help balance tech and touch in finding the right solution.
Interesting. Um, so I guess on my next question would be what you talked about Sephora and Ulta. Um, how how do you think like are there companies that you think are doing this really well? And does the customer feel this impact of the work that's being done behind the scenes? That's my first question. And then if you have any examples of both large organizations like the Sephoras or the Ultas, and then even smaller ones,
Yeah.
smaller retailers or brands.
Well, I have a great example about Ulta. I read in Business of Fashion's latest loyalty report, which I
Mm-hmm.
found to be fascinating, that Ulta said that 96% of their sales are coming from their loyal customers, which means that customer is signing in, they're opting into this loyalty
Wow.
program, they are signing
Yeah.
in with their credentials, right? And they're shopping across channel, whether it is from the
Yeah.
app, online, or in store. They are using their loyalty program. Sephora is the same, Aritzia is the same. I mean, being a Canadian, I'm sure you shop at Aritzia just like we all
Yeah.
do. And I will say
Yeah.
today I received my clienteling email, which means that I get access, first access to their sale. So
Yeah.
their marketing is clearly personalized and driving this, I guess, initiation for the customer to shop, which is,
Yeah.
I would say, is fueled by loyalty. The other brand that I actually spoke to a reporter today about is Hoka. Now, Hoka is opening their New York City flagship store. It is a
Yeah.
fantastic experience. Over 5,000 square feet, I think. And what they have in the store is activations around giving the customer product knowledge about their innovative footwear. They have classes. They have a 3D sizing solution for the shoes, as well as they have a product mix with apparel. So what they've done is, with the amount of stores they have, and they've been, I would say, a smaller format store, they're opening this giant
Yeah.
flagship. And the way that they informed the design of the flagship was through customer feedback. And not only is it innovative and it sets themselves apart from other footwear brands, but this customer that is not only a performance-driven customer, but also a fashion customer, they are
Yeah.
driving increased loyalty because they have been listening to their customer. And the product assortment reflects that, but so does the in-store experience. Now, I think Hoka is doing a fantastic job, and they're quite lucky in a sense where the fashion customer is also looking to Hoka for a fashionable yet comfortable shoe, but they've also
Yeah.
tapped into the performance footwear market, and they're taking market share from the bigger players in the space.
Yeah. I can attest to that. I run in Hokas.
Do you wear Hoka? Yeah.
I do. I run in them. Yeah. They're amazing. I will definitely be checking out the flagship when I'm in New York. I think that these points around loyalty are very interesting, especially because at the beginning of the conversation, we talked about how customers are not as loyal to brands as they kind of were. We couldn't count on that in the past. But the stat from Ulta is amazing. And even the fact that Hoka has designed this store, new market, new format, like you said, with the feedback from their customer front and center, that's very interesting. Those are great examples of loyalty. Thank you. Okay, so we always love to end our conversations with a question on customer experience. This can be from any aspect of your life. It doesn't have to be only retail focused. But if you can share with our audience, what is the best customer experience you have had, or a memorable one you've had?
Oh, this is a good one. I am that person who pre-shops online. And I think most of us do, in fact, shop online before they even go into a store. So you have a good sense of very targeted shopping experience. And I do that
Yeah.
with Nordstrom. I love Nordstrom because I have a great experience online. I can see the entire product assortment. I can pre-shop very easily, and then I go into the store and I have a sales associate that knows me. And for me, that is the best shopping experience. If the sales associate knows me, they built this relationship with me. And in fact, that's a great driver of loyalty for me. That is my department store of choice. I will always go into Nordstrom. Now, what I'm actually excited about is other department stores looking at sales associates and having them more product obsessed, more customer obsessed, so they can increase that loyalty. That's something to me as a shopper is very important because there are
Hmm.
so many more choices we have today, especially online. So if a brand or retailer can connect that great experience online with search functions and great product recommendations to in store, to me, that's a
Yeah.
winner. And that's what I get with Nordstrom, for example.
Amazing. Just out of curiosity, when you go to Nordstrom, is it the same person who you're meeting every time?
Yes, same person.
Okay.
And my husband also goes into the Nordstrom men's store, and he has the
Yeah.
same person that helps him every single time. So
Yeah.
it is such a retail fundamental and a basic for retail is having customer obsessed and product obsessed sales associates. When you have that and you have a relevant product mix, that is going to drive loyalty and increase profitability and reduce excess and reduce markdown activity. These are basic
Yeah.
retail fundamentals that I think a lot of retailers have gotten away from. They rely on either marketing or they rely on the product selling itself. That is not good enough today. And I find that brands today need to step up their game a lot more. Otherwise, Hoka, Ulta, they're going to start taking a lot more market share than they ever have.
Yeah. I love this last thought. This is a great point for us to leave people to think about and reflect over. Thank you so much, Liza. This was a wonderful conversation.